There was once a newly married man who was deciding on whether or not to buy a new TV. The TV cost $1,000, and this was a large amount for him, but he really wanted it, and he just moved into a new apartment and he wanted it for his living room. He ended up deciding on buying the TV because he told himself that he can always make more money in the future and that money comes and goes. So the consequence that he saw for buying the TV that he wanted was losing $1,000, and that was a trade he was willing to take. So he took the TV to his apartment and set it up in his living room. It was now $1,000 poorer, but he said he'll just work overtime next week and try and make it up. A couple days went by after he set up the TV in his apartment, and he realized he wasn't using it much. This man was busy with real life obligations like his job, spending time with his wife, working out, praying, and studying Islam. But then there was this guilt and shame that built up inside of him. He felt like he wasted the $1,000 on the TV because he's not using it. So he felt obligated to use the TV. So it started off small. It started off with a 20-minute quick episode of a funny TV show he stumbled upon. He enjoyed it and turned off the TV and went back to his real life obligation. The next day he did the same thing, but this time he realized he was missing something. He was missing snacks. You can't just watch TV and not eat anything. So he decided to budge on his diet a little bit. So he bought unhealthy snacks and unhealthy drinks to enjoy while watching the TV. And then the next time he went, sat down, got comfortable, got his snacks, and watched the TV, his wife came to him wanting to spend some time. He was already hooked into the TV program he was watching, so he told her tomorrow. Tomorrow came and the same thing happened. And now during this process of watching TV and eating unhealthy snacks, he stopped going to the gym. It started off with just his diet breaking a little bit, but now he doesn't have the motivation to go to the gym. And now over time, he developed an addiction to the TV. One episode turned to two turned to three, and some days he would sit there for hours until nightfall. And now because the TV was taking up his precious time, he was now neglecting other real important parts of his life. He stopped spending time with his wife, stopped going to the gym, he stopped eating healthy, he started missing his prayers, and he stopped seeking knowledge and studying Islam. And now a couple months of this went by, and his wife noticed the change, and she no longer wanted to be with him. She filed for divorce, and now he was left all alone. His job noticed his drastically declining performance and decided to cut him. The clothes that used to fit him well no longer fit him because he gained 40 pounds of fat. And worst of all, he missed many prayers and has now gained the displeasure from Allah. Now he sat there on his couch in his living room with the TV still playing in the background, no wife, no job, and the displeasure from Allah. He sat there and wondered to himself, where did it all go wrong? What this man failed to understand was continuing consequences. He thought that the only consequence for buying that TV was losing $1,000. He failed to perceive the continuing consequences. Isaac Newton's third law of motion states that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. In the physical realm, this is correct. But in the realm of reality, which we live in, which is way more complex and way more layered than just the physical realm, the law changes to this. For every action, there are an unforeseeable amount of reactions. You must understand, for every action you take, you have made a drastic change to the trajectory of your life. It's not that you buy a pack of cookies and you lose $3. It's not that simple. You buy that pack of cookies and now you have free dopamine, and now you get a sugar high, and the sugar high turns to a sugar crash, and now you need more free dopamine to get you back to where you were. So you start scrolling TikTok for a little bit, and scrolling TikTok for a little bit turns to scrolling TikTok for a couple hours, and now you feel bad at the end of that you wasted hours of your time, hours of your life. And now your brain wants even more dopamine to try to suppress the guilt that you're feeling right now. So you turn to something even worse. You turn to a vice, or you turn to an addiction. And now after you turn to that vice or turn to that addiction that you promised yourself that you were not going to turn back to, now you want to end your life, all because of a pack of cookies. And now I know it sounds funny to say that someone might kill themselves over a pack of cookies, but everything leads to another thing. One sin leads to another. And I'm not saying that eating a pack of cookies is a sin, but I'm saying one negative action leads to another negative action, which is drastically worse. But on the flip side, one good action leads to another good action. So that's why when anyone ever asks, how do I change my life? The answer is always the same. First of all, you have to understand, what is your life? The life you have right now is the sum of all the actions you ever took. So if you want to change your life, you have to change your actions. And when you change your actions, your life has no choice but to become better. This is one of the universal laws. Allah says in the Quran in chapter 13, verse 11, indeed, Allah would never change a people's state until they change their own state. So clearly right there, Allah is saying that He's not going to change your life unless you take action, unless you change something within yourself. Many people always pray for change and ask for change, but then once Allah shows them what to do, they don't end up doing it, and then they wonder why their life didn't change. You have to meet Allah halfway. You have to put in the work, and then Allah will reward you. That's how it works. It's not that you just get rewarded for doing nothing. And now continuing consequences is not only for bad outcomes. It works on the flip side. It works for good things as well. For example, imagine if that man didn't buy the TV. Instead, he took the $1,000 and he donated it to his local mosque. And now Allah rewarded him for donating that $1,000, and He multiplied that donation of the man. So now that man is richer and he has the pleasure of Allah. But not only that, now he has a healthier and happier relationship with his wife. Now he also stuck with his diet and stuck with his gym routine. Now he's in the best shape of his life. And he also learned more Quran and more hadiths because he had more free time. All of this because he didn't buy that TV. And now look at the actions that you took today in your life. Are these actions providing positive continuing consequences, or are they providing negative continuing consequences? And now most of you can tell whether an action is good or bad. You guys know this already. But just in case there's an action that you don't know if it's good or bad, ask yourself, was it a sin? If it was a sin, then the continuing consequences are more likely going to be bad. But if it was a good deed, if you did something good, if you did something positive, then the continuing consequences are going to be good. And now every day, these continuing consequences, they compound and they build on each other and they build on each other. So if you keep doing good, then your life ends up being better. But then on the other side versa, if you keep doing bad, then of course your life ends up worse. And even the smallest of actions can make a drastic change in your life. Don't overlook any small good deed or any small sin either. In the book Atomic Habits, the author talks about a plane taking off from LA heading to New York. And he said if you took that plane before it took off and just moved it 3.5 degrees to the right and had it take off and go in the straight line, instead of landing in New York, it would land hundreds of miles lower and it would land in Washington, D.C. Just over a 3.5 degree direction change. So imagine if you just started off by removing the small sins from your life, just the tiny ones that you know are easy to get rid of, just the small ones. Over time, you would see your life would completely change. Remember who our sworn enemy is. It's Satan, without any doubt. Satan is our sworn enemy to all of mankind, not just Muslims, but all of mankind. One of Satan's most clever tricks to deceive you is to trick you into thinking the small sins don't really matter. They don't really add up. They won't lead to anything else. But deep down, you know that's wrong. You know that small sin can lead to another sin, to another sin, to another sin, and now you fall into a major sin just over that one small sin in the beginning. That's how Satan can trick you. Now, what Satan doesn't want you to know is that this can work the other way. You can do one small good deed, and that one small good deed can lead to a bigger deed, and that one bigger good deed can lead to a bigger good deed, and it can lead you to goodness, and it can lead you to paradise, inshallah. So the moral of this video is to understand continuing consequences. You have to understand that it's not just you do one action and there's just one reaction. No, every time you do an action, you open the door to an unforeseeable amount of reactions. So make sure the actions that you take in your life are positive ones that are pleasing to Allah. And if you didn't know, we do have a free school community. It'll be the first link down in the description below, just for Muslims. All we do is talk about bettering our lives here and inshallah securing our afterlife as well. It's a place where all Muslims can come in and network and talk completely free. You can join the first link in the description below. Inshallah, we'll see you in there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. What we talk about is Islamic self-improvement on this channel. If you enjoyed this video, I think you'll enjoy this one as well. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.